So you have an interview, you think it went well, but then they contact you the next day with questions. Is this a good thing or a bad thing? I recently had someone comment on one of my YouTube videos asking this question, and the answer is, it depends. It depends on the context, it depends on the question, it depends on the tone. In today's video, I'm gonna share with you, if they reach out to you after an interview, what signs you need to look for to show you that it's a good thing, and what signs you need to look for to show you that it might not be a good thing. Let's go. Now, the reality is, if you have an interview, there are a lot of reasons why someone might follow up with you. And some of them are good, and some of them are bad. So this call, whether it's the hiring manager calling you the next day, an HR person, or a recruiter calling you the next day, it could be a good thing, and it could be a bad thing. We're gonna look at both of these scenarios so you can kind of understand, well, is this a positive sign or is it a negative sign? We're gonna start with a positive. Now, first and foremost, if it's positive, one of the first indicators is going to be tone. You can always tell when someone's calling you and you hear their voice, whether it's good news or bad news. So the first thing I would look for is positivity, right? If they are positive and they seem enthusiastic, hey, how are you? Good to chat with you. How are you doing? Long time no talk. Little things like that. Those are indication that they're calling, and their call is good news for the most part. Now, besides just tone, there are certain topics they're going to want to cover if it's good news, as opposed to if it's a bad thing. Now, if it's a good thing, they might ask you just for feedback. Hey, what did you think of the interview? What did you think of the facility? What did you think of the hiring manager, right? If they're asking you questions like that, they are looking for buying signs. That is a good thing. Now, recruiters, they are, part of their job is keeping the top candidate warm, or keeping really good candidates warm. So if they're reaching out to you following an interview and they're demonstrating interest, they're gauging your interest, that is a good thing. That's their job. They have to do that. And they don't really do that with candidates who they're unlikely to move forward with. So when they reach out to you, if they're positive and they're asking questions that gauge your interest, that's a good thing. Another really positive sign so that you can tell, hey, this is a good thing, is if they're confirming a few things. If they want to confirm where you're at in the interview process with other companies, that is a good thing, right? If they're saying to you, hey, refresh my memory, you said you had a few other interviews with other companies. When are those? Where does your level of interest lie? Which opportunity are you more interested in? All things being even, which one of these companies do you prefer, right? If they're asking you questions like that, that is good. If they're also confirming your salary, refresh my memory, where did you say you needed to be salary-wise again? Sometimes what candidates are doing is they're doing what is called a pre-close. And that means they're soft closing you. They're calling you, making sure you're still interested. They're making sure salary information is correct, because if they extend you an actual offer, they want to feel sure that you're going to accept. And it's necessary to confirm that information before they actually extend an offer. Now let's talk about what it might look like if them calling you isn't a good thing. One of the big signs when they're calling you and it isn't a good thing is if they're checking for inconsistencies. So what might that look like? So if they call you and they ask you a question, you know they have already asked you, right? So say you're in the interview and they ask you a question about your experience and your background. And then they call you up and they go, hey, you said this, can you just tell me a little bit more about this, right? Now, sometimes they could just want to be confirmed information, but a lot of times it's because they saw some inconsistencies there. There's something different from your resume than what you explained, or you explained it one way in an earlier interview, you explained it a different way in a later interview, and they're trying to make sense of what seems like inconsistent information. Another sign that their call is not a good thing is if they're asking and verifying information that typically would be a hiring manager concern, right? A good example of this is, hey, could you explain to me, you were at A, B, and C company and you were only there for 11 months. Can you tell me again what happened there? And they really dig in. The reason that call is happening is the hiring manager expressed concerns. They said, I really don't like this short stint here. And then the recruiter probably said, well, do you want me to call and just get information about that? And the hiring manager was like, I guess, go ahead and look. That typically means the hiring manager has doubt. And you might be able to give a good explanation and your story might make sense there. There are a lot of reasons why people stay at companies for short stints. My shortest stint at a company was 7 months. I had a really good reason for wanting to get out of there. But hiring managers, they don't always see it like that. They have concerns, and the recruiter following back up, well, that might be because they want to dig into the concerns. And even if you have a good story, it might not be enough to sway a hiring manager. The other thing that's really important here is you have to understand tone. Now, we talked about this on the good side of things, but this is also true on the negative side of things. Tone is incredibly important. And how they sound. Are they enthusiastic? Are they checking in? Or are they like, oh man, this doesn't make sense. Let me see if I can call them. Those two things are very different, and you should be able to decipher the tone in most instances. Now, if you want to avoid uncertainty, one thing you can do is have an amazing interview. And if you want to do that, I suggest watching this video here. In this video here, I give you 5 different secrets that all candidates should know about the interview process. These are things that most people don't get about the interview process. But if you do, it's incredibly powerful because then you can use them to your advantage. So I am done here, but I will see you over there.